The presumptive Republican nominee did something remarkable today. He kind of sort of acted like a semi-hemi-demi normal presidential candidate. Trump held an event in Manchester, New Hampshire late this afternoon where he delivered a scripted speech about manufacturing job loss, unemployment, and trade policy. As Trump read his remarks, the email inboxes of reporters like us were flooded with press releases from the Trump campaign, filled with facts and figures that bolstered Trump's message and reinforced his remarks.
When you have large numbers of unemployed blue-collar workers, incomes go down across the country, just across the entire country. When you force workers in America to compete with workers earning $1 a day overseas, our whole standard of living goes down. So our middle class has shrunk 10 percentage points since 1970, and share of GDP controlled by workers has steadily declined and shifted to corporations. So we became the richest economy in the world with the biggest middle class in the world by becoming the biggest producer in the world.
Unlike what was once cable news standard practice, not a single channel took Trump's event live today. Mark, as Team Trump tries to make his campaign seem more like a normal, well-oiled political operation, how's it working out?
You know, the press is obsessed, and a lot of the people in the Democratic Party are obsessed with the mechanics of Trump's campaign, and obviously there's something to that. And now there's this meme of, well, yeah, we're grading him on a curve. You're like, yeah, he's acting like a normal candidate, but they're not doing perfectly. This is much better. This kind of event we're going to see more of, where Trump goes to a venue. He's not in some anonymous arena. And I think local coverage, at a minimum, will get more on message. And there's a powerful message today. We have a big trade deficit. So it's not perfect. It's not nearly as good as the Clinton campaign in terms of execution, but it's better, and I think it enhances the chances of winning.
I actually think that, you know, given how bad it was, you know, just a week ago, 10 days ago, given how little there was of any of the standard scaffolding of a normal presidential campaign, I'm actually surprised how fast it's turned around to the point where, you know, again today, if you didn't know any of the history, knew none of the history of how bare bones that operation was, and you just dropped in today, you'd think you were, you know, in a normal presidential campaign. Again, in terms of like as a reporter covering it, that got that inflow that I mentioned before. You know, that like was a normal event today. I didn't think it was particularly great, but it was normal.
And the message of
talk about grading on a
the
curve.
Message of, do you like the deficit, the trade deficit? Do you like what's happened to American manufacturing jobs? Do you like what's happened to incomes? If you do, keep voting for the status quo and the career politicians. If you don't, vote for change.
Right.
It's his core message, and it's an economic message that it's, I'm not saying impossible for Hillary Clinton to respond to, but difficult.
Well, it's not. I don't think it's that difficult, because the problem is that you can diagnose all the problems in the world, but what Trump doesn't have yet, which is a lot harder than putting out press releases citing the problems, is an actual agenda
100%.
With real policies, with real solutions, things that would actually solve any of these many problems that he's identified. So this is a good first step, but unless you have those things, big deal.
Well, except that his only chance of winning is to basically make it a referendum on the status quo. And if he can do that, I agree he'll need more specifics, but not many more. That's not the key. That's not the key part of his chance of winning.
I still think it's pretty important, given some of the stuff he's saying would maybe make the problem worse.